In this short instructional video from the Oak Ridges Moraine Groundwater Program, we introduced different types of location data that can be mapped on the web-based mapping portal. I'm going to start by clicking on Maps from oakridgeswater.ca. The Maps button is up here in the upper right-hand side of the top menu. The tips provided in this video will apply to both the public and the private mapping websites. Once the new tab opens, we can accept the disclaimer that appears, and then we're looking at a base map of the study area, as well as some text on the left-hand side. The planning boundaries of the Niagara Escarpment and the Oak Ridges Moraine are shown in purple and red. And the Oak Ridges Moraine Groundwater Program study area is shown as a blue polygon. There's also some locations shown by default when I enter the mapping portal in this way. On the left, there's a welcome tab with some text that shows the different layer themes. We'll be focusing on locations for this particular video. And we can start to edit these locations and how we view them and what locations we want to see by clicking on the Layers tab here on the bottom. So we can see under Layers, there's a drop down for the different themes, layer themes, locations being at the top of the list and the focus of this video. And then we'll see a bunch of checkboxes. By default, when I came into the mapping portal in this way, the ORMGP boundary and the planning related boundaries are shown. I'm going to uncheck the planning related boundaries. Beneath this, there's a location search for different types of locations. And as I mentioned, the locations shown are groundwater knowledge and insight, and I'm going to turn those off for now. On this list, we'll see the different types of locations that are available. All boreholes, I won't click on that and turn it on because it's over 500,000 locations, and it'll take a few seconds to load. We looked at groundwater knowledge locations. We can look at flowing water information sites shown here. And I can zoom in and out on this just with the mouse roller. If I click on a link, it gives a little bit of information about that site. Our database stores just the locations for these FWIS sites. The actual data is stored at the University of Waterloo, and there's a link to that database in this little pop-up. We can also look at oil and gas wells, outcrops, surface water spot flows. There's also some locations that offer different options, and there's a little plus here. So for surface water gauge stations, for example, we can look at active surface water gauging stations, and we can look at the discontinued ones as well. The same thing for climate data. Climate data comes from Environment Canada as well as the municipal governments that are partners with our group. We can look at active and discontinued as well. There's quite a few more discontinued climate station locations than there are active. And finally, the last is the permits to take water, PTTWs. Again, we can look at active permits and discontinued permits, which are shown in yellow. So as I mentioned, with any of these location types, clicking on a specific location gives a little pop-up window with some information about that particular location. So I'm looking at permits. I clicked on one up in this area here near Mono. It gives the location idea, the names, the eastings and northings, and then some information about the permit itself. This particular one's a surface water pond. The permit was issued in 2018 and it expires in 2028 with these permitted rates. Another example I want to show just quickly, I can click out of this pop-up, is surface water gauging stations. And I'll just turn on the active ones for now. I'll click on one here in Hockley. And again, there's some information here about the name, location. This particular surface water gauge station has measured flow rates almost 12,000 times beginning in 1989 and most recently in July 15th, 2022, so just about a week ago from when this video was recorded. The average and min and max values of flow measured at that gauge are also shown here. There's also hydrographs available for these gauge stations, these surface water gauge stations, plus hydrographs for groundwater levels and so on. And we'll be looking at that in future videos. But for the time being, when we're in the location theme, we can look at just some information about that particular location. So thanks so much for listening to this video on an introduction into location data. And thanks for your interest in this program. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact anybody from the Oak Ridges Moraine Groundwater Program.